Cardenas.
Hey, Greg. Good afternoon. I'm wondering, there's obviously a lot more discussion about who could potentially start for the U.S. Who are you going to rest players, etc. Tata doesn't tend to change much. His 11 for tomorrow night is already being tweeted out and discussed. When you know,
what is it? Do you know what it is? Can you tell me?
I could probably rattle it off right now, but
go for it. Let's do it.
You know the players, and that's what my question is. When you know this side so well, how does that affect your preparation when you face Mexico?
I just think it's understanding what type of game it's going to be. It's going to be a highly competitive game, and we know when these two teams come together, that's what type of game it produces, and we have to be up for that type of game, and we are. I think that one of the things the guys clearly understand is the type of game it's going to be and what it's going to take to compete and to win the game.
We'll be looking for that email, Felipe. Next, we'll go to Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Hey, Greg. Did you decide not to call up someone to replace Aronson? If not, why not? And would, in the subsequent days, someone come in for the remaining two matches?
Yeah, for this game, we're staying pat with 26 that we have in camp. We think it's enough in this particular game. It may change in the next game. But as of now, we're a 26-man roster.
Next will be Ron Blum from Associated Press.
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Ron.
As you look at the decision on who to put in goal tomorrow, do you base it on your evaluations of sight, on Andy's evaluations, on metric data? How do you mix it all up and come up with the pick?
So Aaron Hyde, I think you're referring to when you said Andy is our goalkeeper coach.
Aaron, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's all right. That's all right. It's all the above. I mean, we're gathering information. We're looking at games. We're looking at what type of services we're going to be faced. Look at what type of shots we're going to face. What goalie can play out of the back better. There's a whole number of things we're looking at, and it's difficult. It's not an easy decision. I think, they're both playing well, or, Zach played well in his last game. He hasn't had many games before that, and Ethan's playing well. Sean's been playing every game for NYC, so it's not an easy decision. But, we'll make it for who we think will help us win the game.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Along those lines, Greg, have you made a decision yet? I'm trying to read the tea leaves here. Have you made a decision yet on who's going to be in goal? And if so,
I think any lineup related questions, my stock answer is just going to be we're working through it. Even if we had made a decision by now.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Next will be Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg. I don't blame Jeff for trying. You've given us some these calls. I asked Christian something similar, but the 3 wins last year, the 3 consecutive wins over this Mexican team, what does that do for the confidence of your team going into tomorrow? Thanks and good luck, Greg.
Thank you. I just think it's an evolution. When you look at our team, and those 3 wins, you almost see growth in each of those games, culminating in the last one in the qualifier where, the guys were really, really confident going into the game. So, I do think it adds some confidence, but we can't let our guard down. I mean, our record here is horrendous. The odds are against us getting something out of this game, right? We know that. We realize that. And that's just how it is. And we're focused on going in and being difficult to play against, competing. But we certainly do have confidence from how we grew as a team in those 3 games.
Next will be Megan Swanwick from The Guardian.
Hey Greg, hope you're doing well. With Tyler Adams on a yellow card, I'm wondering if you have any plans in place to account for that. Are you going to use him strategically in any particular matches?
Yeah, we have Tyler Adams, DeAndre Yedlin, Zach Steffen, Jordan Pefok, and one other player on a yellow,
Wea.
and Timmy Weah. And guys have to be smart. If you think about it, they have one yellow in 11 games. So it's not like they're getting yellows every game, but there still needs to be caution, because if they do play, we want them available for the next game. And that's going to be something that, there'll be conversations around that. And, you hope for a little bit of luck. You hope for a little bit of discretion by the referee. And you hope for some intelligence by our players to be smart when they're picking up fouls and what type of challenges they're going into.
We'll go to Charlie Boehm from MLSsoccer.com.
Hi, Greg. Yesterday, Tyler, or maybe it was Monday, sorry, spoke about the natural nerves that come in high stakes environments like this, but players working through it and focusing on the task at hand. And I wanted to ask you that if you're up for sharing a bit of kind of what this feels like for you, where this ranks in terms of your coaching challenges and your sort of mental outlook as you find that balance between maybe projecting confidence, but also, making sure everyone understands the stakes.
Yeah, it's a great question, Charles. And one thing I told the staff in our meeting as we started camp was, this is probably the biggest week of our lives as professional coaches. And that's just honest. I've coached in Columbus and I coached an MLS final and stuff like this, but this is bigger than that. And what I reassured the group is we've all coached in 3 games before. We've been through qualifying already. We've coached a lot of games before, and we have a process, and just stick to the process. And I think that's what's making it easy both for the staff and the group, is we just stick to the way we work. It's been successful so far, and that's what we continue to do. And I think the second thing is just staying in the moment. And instead of getting ahead of ourselves, it's just being present in the moment, paying attention in the moment, and going from there.
Charlie, if it matters, Tyler's comments were yesterday. We will go to Grant Wall.
Hey, Greg, it's good to see you.
A lot of nitpicking today, huh?
No, just they're trying to be precise, that's all.
Sorry, Grant. Sorry to interrupt you.
You became a national team coach. You were a club coach before this. And the previous question was about sort of the gravity of these games. Could you describe what the adjustment has been like for you to go from a club coach to a national team coach and have so many fewer games with such great importance, to have so much time to sort of look forward to and prepare for, and how that impacts you?
Yeah, I think that's it. When you're at a club, it's a building type of thing, and when you're at a national team, I think it's a winning type of thing, and you're focused. My mindset had to change, to be much more about winning every game. That's what we want. That's obviously what the public wants. And, winning also means qualifying. But when you think about, winning Nations League and winning Gold Cup, it was important for the mentality of this group to understand that this is why we're playing this thing. And in the same time, building a strong culture. So, building a group of guys that are resilient, that care for each other, that want to work together. So it's a little bit of that club attitude, but with the mindset that we're here to win games.
Next will be Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Greg. I wonder when, and I suppose if, you're weighing how to manage minutes. I know you're still working through that. How do you weigh something like Christian Pulisic's current form and trying to maybe capture some of that momentum, some of that confidence, while also weighing how to maximize his impact across the totality of the window? Thank you.
Yeah, so we're pretty much there with the plan, and a lot of it was looking at looking at what they've been doing with their clubs, looking at what we're trying to do in this window, and then merging it together. If you think about it, so if you haven't been playing a lot for your club, it's going to be difficult to play 3 games, and we understand that. So we have a plan for the games, and now it's about executing. But one thing is we want to win all 3 games. And we take it one game at a time, and we're going to put a team on the field in Mexico that's going to try to win the game.
Next would be Abraham from Aldea in Dallas. Abraham, would you mind helping me with the pronunciation of your last name?
Hello, Coach. Abraham Noodles here with El Dia, Spanish publication for the Dallas Morning News. Coach, what happened to Ricardo Pepi after he moved from the MLS to Germany? How is he coping with 5 months without scoring? And are you worried about Ricardo?
I think Ricardo can better answer that question than I can. But what I would say is that it's any player takes time to adapt to a new league. And and he's a young player, and I think there's a lot of expectations on him, and it's just adapting to the Bundesliga. It's a fast-paced game. It's a difficult game. He's getting used to his teammates and used to how they play, and we're confident with his skill set he's going to be okay. But I think we should give him time. I think that's understandable, and that's what we're doing as a group and as a coaching staff.
Next to be Ivis Galarsep from SBI Soccer.
Greg, I have two separate topics for you. I'll try to keep it brief.
That's a shocker, Ivis.
Yeah, right. I know. I try to keep you on your toes. First one is Jesus Ferreira, who, a year ago, I remember when, you played him at forward and everyone was kind of like, what is this experiment about? Fast forward, here we are. He's playing there for FC Dallas under Nico and is really kind of evolving in that position. What do you think about his growth in that role, and how have you seen him improve in that role? The second completely unrelated question is about the Panama game coming up. There's a sense how important that game is, and maybe you should be looking at that game to play your quote-unquote best team. Do you consider that a crazy idea, given the importance of the Mexico game and the rivalry, and Mexico also not being in the best of form? Or do you kind of see the idea behind it? Do you see the logic behind it?
Listen, I don't know what, something I was reading or listening to before camp. When I'm in camp, I shut off all outside media. But before it, I heard that argument. We should play a B team, and what I did is I took it to the staff and we debated it. We looked at all sides of it. We said, hey, does this have merit? And I think it was an important exercise to do for us to be able to do that. And we came out with our answer, and you'll see tomorrow. But it's certainly, there's no harm in looking at both sides of this thing. And we know that the Panama game will be an important game, but we also know that Mexico will be an important game. We also know Costa Rica has the potential to be an important game. So our mindset is one game at a time. Regarding Jesus, I think he's been doing a great job. And what Jesus is going to have to come to terms with is that, he may not always score a hat trick, but he can still be a very effective player on the team given his skill set. I talked after the El Salvador game. I was happy with his performance. I was happy what he did. Okay, he missed a couple chances, and that, he's certainly going to regret that. But overall, I thought he played a good game. And he's such a good soccer player, such a smart soccer player that, he makes it easy for those around him. And that's what you're seeing at Dallas. Not only did he score a hat trick on the weekend, he also had an assist. So he's an excellent player. I thought highly of him from the first day we worked with him, and we're ecstatic when he changed over to our country from Colombia, and we think he can be a big part of this program.
Next will be Avi Creditor from Sports Illustrated.
Thanks, Michael. Greg, I was just wondering if you could tell us your lineup. Just kidding. In other windows, what happens in other matches on a given night might not be as impactful in the moment, but there is a path for you to qualify tomorrow night, despite all the focus on the future games. So I guess what, if any, setup do you have to monitor those other matches during the game? How much do you personally want to know what's going on elsewhere? And if you find out that Panama is losing and Costa Rica is not winning, will you adjust on the fly and perhaps change your approach?
Oh, man. It's a difficult question. I think, in the back of our mind, we're going to be, trying to get the understanding what the score lines are of the opponents. But again, it's for us just to go in focused on this game. It's such a, I think it was mentioned that this may be the last qualifier in Mexico, between Mexico and the U.S. And it's just, for us, it's just a great event. We're really happy and proud to be playing in this game. And we want to be really focused on this game. And the guys they see when they came into camp, they're really focused on this game. We have the big goal of qualifying, but this is also a great opportunity for this group. And we're looking forward to it. And I think that that single-minded focus is going to be there in the game tomorrow.
We'll take 2 more questions for Gregg and start with Drake Hills from the Tennessean.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Thanks for taking the time, Gregg. Just wanted to ask you, I'm not trying to couple this game against Mexico with Panama, but just given that this is a full window that you guys are managing to try and qualify for, what constitutes what in selection? Like, is it form? Is it against Mexico and then going up against Panama? Is it form? Is it leadership? Especially when a guy maybe like Jordan Pefok, who's coming in for the first time in a while. How do you go about judging, preparing for what his assignment may be against Mexico or against Panama? What's their base for that in terms of logic?
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at this, or I know you look at the strengths and weaknesses of the opponent and what players have a skill set to exploit that. It's really common. At the national team level, you're blessed with a lot of good players. And then it's about the specific attributes that they have that can be successful against this opponent. And ideally, you'd like every player coming in with their best form. It's not always the case, and sometimes you may have to stretch it based on how well you think this person can perform against the opponent that you're playing. And sometimes you give your player a little bit more credit, even though he's not in the best form. And I don't think it's an exact science to it, but the starting point is how they match up against the opponent. I think that's very important.
Last question comes from Nico Contour from CBS.
Hey, Gregg. I know you've preached this next man up mentality for obviously the entire qualifiers that you've spoken about. When you talk to the other coaches were at the national team before, like that you'll never ever have everybody healthy. It's like not even logical to assume that you'll have everybody healthy, right? But when you're missing a player like Weston McKennie, who in my eyes, and I don't want to speak for my colleague, but I believe they would also think he's irreplaceable. Almost that like next man up doesn't apply for a player like Weston, right? Going into this game that is so big, how do you fill that void, and how do you keep the confidence up in this team when you're missing a player that's as important as Weston?
Well, first of all, I think you got the Oscar for the most drama in your question. Well done for that, Nico. Great job.
I'm just trying to avoid
really
so that you don't tell me the typical answer.
No, you really brought the drama to it. No, listen, I said it before. When you think about Weston, he's probably one of the best midfielders in our region, right? I mean, you could make that argument. When you think about Serginho Dest, probably the best right back in our region, right? Brendan Aronson, a top winger in our region. Chris Richards, big potential as a center back. Matt Turner. There's guys that are missing. And Weston is a hard guy to replace. There's no question about it. At right back we have a larger depth chart, and it's not easy, but there's guys there that have played and been part of qualifying. But really, when you look at it, we knew this was going to be the case, right? And I said it to you a long time before. I said, you don't have all your guys, and it's how you respond when you don't have your guys that's important. And that's what we have to do this window. It's not about looking back. It's about staying in the present, focusing on who's here, who's in camp, who's ready to play, and go out and compete. Because one thing I'll tell you, Nico, is that these guys can compete. Everyone we have on this roster right now, all 26 of them can compete, and that's what it's going to take in this window.
Thank you, Gregg, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us this afternoon. Have a good day.